do the minutes and, okay. So I hit continue. Do you want to get started? Scott Presser from our auditing firm is here. And I think he's just going to go through. Oh, there's Bonnie. Hi, Bonnie. Oh, never mind.
Go on.
So I think he's here so we can introduce him, and then he can go through what he's working on or whatever you need to tell them, Scott. It's all yours.
Okay. Hi, I'm Scott Presser. Well, when we set this up, I plan on meeting everyone here, and a lot of things have changed since, see what we said in March. It was right before everything really started happening. So this is pretty much new to me too. Usually audit committee meetings, I meet in person, board meetings, you meet in person. So this might be the new norm, as they say. So this is my first audit committee on Zoom, so that's different. I've done a couple other ones, but so pretty much I'll just kind of go through. We actually luckily did start. We came over to the district in March, and I think I came in January. We set up our timeline, and I actually came in March to sit down with all the staff. So it was actually worked out good that we did do that beginning of March. So we were able to meet everyone and met all the different district office personnel and went through interviews. And Lisa's been really good and her staff. When we ask for things ahead of time, we've been getting everything we need ahead. So then it's going to help, especially with how everything is now. Anything we can do remotely, it always helps. I'm actually on site right now today, but not every place I've been able to go to yet, depending on where the location is. So we did our initial visit in March, and like I said, we talked to everyone, went through walkthroughs of how your controls are, your payroll, expense, cash receipts. Then came back right after Memorial Day, and we did our selection, we were here in March too. So we went through invoice testing, payroll testing. That was the end of May. And today I was working on looking at single audit items, going through that, looking at your child nutrition program and special education. And even like with that, now with child nutrition, you have a lot of different things. With COVID, you had way it's funding. They changed it slightly, how you record stuff. So that's a changing process with no guidelines right now. So we're kind of going through, how you're keeping track of meals and stuff like that. So everything is changing now. Like I was going to talk about what things that were going to be changed on the report this year, but now nothing's going to be changed. So, and then right now we have our scheduled final fieldwork dates are in August. So right now everything is working on schedule. Like I was mentioning, the financial statement was going to have a couple changes to it. There was going to be changes to our audit report, which not everyone always looks at. And that was just, they were moving things around, rewording it. And then due to COVID, they decided that it wasn't a good time to make that change. That one you might not have noticed as much. And then that was SAS, which is Statements of Auditing Standards, 134 through 140, and they decided to push that off for at least a year. Right now it's at least a year. We'll see how everything works out. But and then the other one was GASB 84, which was going to be a bigger thing, was fiduciary activities, which on your report was usually just one page where you're trust and agency, and now they were talking about changing how that is reported. There wouldn't even be that. They would be shown over within the general, and also showing how extra classroom might be changed too. That's not going to happen at all this year, so there won't be. Usually I was going to say, when I originally did this, when I was putting down notes that talked about when I did it in March, but now these have all been postponed for at least a year. So we'll be talking about that next time, maybe a little bit in the fall, but there will be some changes coming up in the future. And then I usually come and talk to the audit committee, and then you usually come to a board meeting in the fall, when we set one up. So that's quickly our schedule, and then what we've been doing. Anybody having questions? Pretty much everything is standard, other than what's changing. How like your staff is doing a good job. We're always wondering with this going on, how would the process be changed? When your internal claim, when you're a claims auditor, would that be and so far, like the schools we've been to, it's pretty much everyone's pretty adapted pretty well, I would say. There is going to be a bunch of changes. At least we're just talking about with the state aid and how state aid, federal aid, how schools are going to be able to get that money. Same with like lunch one, we've already gone through and how they're doing that one, but federal aid, back years ago, we had the ERA stimulus one, and that was done through a grant process. This one, we still don't have any guidelines on how local governments, municipalities, school districts, how you're going to get your aid from the federal government. But as soon as we hear things, we pass it on to our school districts. We're always in contact with them, even when the audit's not going on. We're in contact throughout the year. We're always a phone call, text, email away. If any questions come up throughout the year. So this way, if there's any problems or things, we like to, we'll help when we can. So that's basically what I've been working on so far.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. We still have some info to give to you in the morning, so.
Yep. And I have a couple of things I got to go drop off before I leave. I have a couple of binders down here, but
okay.
Like I said, everybody's been very good about getting information to us, so it makes the process go a lot smoother. So.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you all.
Okay. See you in a minute when you drop stuff off. Okay. So if we don't have any questions on that, welcome, Amy. You look like you're having more fun than we are.
I'm not even sure this is fair.
So I sent out today a revised agenda, and I tried to send the backup information with that so that you could look at the same things that I'm looking at. So the next thing on there is the Abner Doubleday assessment petition and legal fees. So there are two things going on there. One of them, I sent you the updated tax certiorari or the tax petitions page, which includes the Abner Doubleday, and that was on there before. So when we talk about our reserve analysis next, we'll adjust it to include this because it isn't settled. They did file. It's not settled, and I'm hoping they actually do come to some agreement, and I don't know what that is, but because if they don't come to, thank you, an agreement, this is going to carry on into next year, and we're going to have this, potential $56,000 issue next year too, if they don't agree to it. So our attorney has filed a motion to, participate in this, and the town has been working through their attorney to participate. So you can see they're asking for a $3 million assessment from 5.8. The town had increased it the previous year from 4.9 million. So that's what they were fighting. And then they went down to 3 million. I don't know what's going to happen with that, especially now with the COVID and them not opening, and because sometimes if they do take that income into account. But we will be actively participating in this. The other question that the town had was, as you can see, that they've been working through this with their legal fees, and they have $20,000 in legal fees so far that they would like us to help them pay. They didn't say what portion. our attorney said, since it's a huge one, he doesn't think it's an unreasonable request, but in the past, when we've made an agreement with the town to help with the cost, it's always been, we would help pay for the cost of the assessment. So when the mall had their petition out there, we had agreed to pay for half the cost of reassessing an outside, evaluator to assess that. But we've never shared in the town's legal fees for this. And we do have our own legal fees to pay too. Our attorney's going to be billing us too. So I guess that was what my real question is, how do you want to handle that portion of it?
Didn't we share in their legal costs before we started to actively participate? Because there was a time where we did not have representation. And then we decided, we needed to have a seat at the table. So we paid our own lawyer to go. I think that's where Mr. Wood's getting that from. Yeah,
we have, and we do pay, we have Cam Daniels from Hogan and Sarzinski, and he's the one who always handles our tax cert cases. We never really got involved at all before that big Lowe's settlement, and that cost us $200,000, and none of this was really on anybody's radar before. And then obviously after that, we were paying more attention to these because I think they would go to the tax collector before that, and she didn't really know what to do with them, so they just kind of got filed, and that was way back. But we have been sending these to our attorney to participate, and he works with the other attorneys. So they've done some initial legwork, but they're the ones that assess. We don't. So their claim, they say, well, you have a bigger share of this because you collect the most taxes from them, which is true, but we don't have any control over the assessment. But we do have a seat at the table with our attorney.
So attorney-wise, they're not using town counsel, and we use special counsel as well?
We use our own attorney.
Who's on retainer?
But the town council is more involved than our attorney because they do the assessments. We don't have any control over that.
But they have an attorney that's their on retainer.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't cost them extra in theory. So I guess they must be using a different attorney.
Yeah, he sent the bills and he highlighted which ones were related to this, and it's about $20,000 over the past year or so.
We'll share legal fees if they share in what our portion of the reduction is too.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, they take their proportionate share, which is probably about 10%, right?
Well, but if we pay part of their legal fees, they pay part of our reduction.
Right, because if you look at that, the town tax is what, $14,625, and our tax is $109,333.
Yeah.
So
15%. Okay.
Yeah, we're paying our own lawyer. We don't need to pay theirs too.
Okay.
Right? Anybody disagree with that?
No,
I agree with you.
I agree wholeheartedly.
Okay.
It's a little comical actually. So yeah, I agree with you.
And so
How much is our attorney, Lisa?
I don't have a bill in front of me. We don't do the retainer with them anymore.
Well, I forgot.
So it's an hourly fee. We may want to consider the retainer with all this COVID and the questions and all that good stuff.
If we have a heightened amount of legal work, then that becomes a different issue. Yeah. At the time, it seemed like we were, past thought was that the attorneys were working hard to earn their retainer. So
Right.
we felt it was good timing to change that, but maybe not anymore.
So I can get that number to you, but I'm sure it's not a small amount, that we're paying an hourly fee for. So, okay.
So you mentioned the mall. We paid to have it reassessed, or?
We never did get a bill for that. It was never reassessed. I think that they settled it before that.
Was it an assessment or an appraisal?
Appraisal, I'm sorry, an appraisal.
Okay.
Appraisal,
That
I'm
makes
sorry,
more sense.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it was one of those A words. I don't know.
Because I was concerned,
Oh,
their guy does the assessment. Why would we pay their guy to do their work? You know?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it was the appraisal. You're right.
outside appraisal, yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Justify the, with the assessment reduction.
Right.
And I think that would be fair if we need to have an appraisal. I think sharing in that cost is certainly reasonable.
Yep,
And we have agreed to that before.
Yeah.
yep.
Okay. So that I'll just respond with that we would be willing to assist with an appraisal, but not with legal fees because we're paying our own.
Yeah.
We are representing ourselves there too. Okay. And I'll use the right word there. Okay. All right. So did you have any other questions about that? Not, we'll move on to the reserve fund plan. So we update our reserve fund plan annually, usually around May. So I'm a little bit behind. And there's a lot going on actually with our reserves. As you can see, the unemployment reserve, we have about almost 53,000 in there. You can see we don't use that a lot. Usually our claims are under 10,000 a year. At the budget season, you may recall that I did increase that in the actual budget because 50,000 doesn't go a long way if we have a lot of people collecting unemployment and we are self-employed. So we do have this and we use it. We only use it if we go over our budgeted amount. I don't think we're going to go over it this year, but in 2021, there are some potential claims out there. We already have probably, more people filing, and not that they're all going to be eligible, because actually one person that filed is still getting paid on our payroll with their regular paycheck. So I'm not really sure why they filed other than everybody else is doing it. So they did. So, I mean, obviously we rejected that. We sent something in to reject that. But we could possibly have more claims. And what's that?
Where are you anticipating layoffs or?
Well, we have the 2 CSEA custodians.
Okay.
We have some people that were already on it. We also have long-term subs or substitutes that are not going to be able to find jobs now because if, things are slowing down or they're online, they're not going to be working. So we're going to probably have a lot of sub claims. We may have things like, depending on how things go, we may have things like door monitors.
Aren't subs considered independent contractors? Like, why would we be responsible for sub unemployment?
There are employees. They're paid in our payroll as an employee. So they would take the proportion that we paid them. They would go to other schools and, so we would take a piece of that. We're not going to take the whole paycheck, but certainly some of it's going to come back to us.
They would have made those claims by now, right?
Some of them could. If it's some of the long-term subs are still working with us. They're still providing service.
I'm thinking about next year and,
So for example, at the end of the school year, when these long-term subs are done with this year's assignment, they could potentially file for unemployment?
Yes. So sometimes what happens with a lot of people at the end of the year is we send a letter out to say, do you plan to return? For example, like with the extended day, do you plan to return to the program? So there's a certain wording that you do with that, kind of indicating that you plan to have them come back. So if we don't have that for them, then they can file a claim. Even though they're 10 months, they can start collecting because there's no guarantee of employment.
So 10-month employees can file unemployment for the summer?
In certain cases, not in all cases, but in certain cases, they can. And we do have the people that will get laid off. We also may have people who have gone to other districts, but can come back on us and collect depending on how long they were here or how long they've been in other districts. So I don't know what who those people might be at this point, but, there may be other districts laying people off that had previously worked for us. We also have, people that we've let go. I know we have one from my office that's still collecting. So I think her time runs out, and they extended the time for such a long time that people collect for a long time. So if somebody left our district and they've worked somewhere else for a year, they're still going to come back on us. But anyway, all that to say, we increased ours in the budget, and we do have this reserve there too that, we'll use if we have to. We don't have to, we'll hold it for when we actually need it.
So does this mean we essentially have $102,000?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And then we just talked about the tax cert. So that right now is $26,947, but since we've received this Abner Doubleday potential claim, we'll increase that to the $68,780, and we do that annually. Every year we annually either increase it or decrease it to the known potential liabilities. So you'll see an amendment for that at our next meeting, which we will have to have a meeting, right, Bill and Tom, because I think tomorrow was scheduled to be our last meeting, but now we're going to have one next Wednesday also, right?
Yeah, we have to have a special meeting to accept the canvas of the vote.
Yeah. So I'll have these things on there as well. So you'll see some adjustments in these reserve funds. So the tax we already talked about. The employee benefit accrued liability reserve, we have used some of that. Right now it's at $249,476, but we'll take out the retirement incentives because that's how it was written, that those incentive increased payments would come out of this reserve. So that ended up being $79,500, and I sent you a sheet so you could see who used that. And so we'll take that out of the reserve and leave the rest in there. We do have $130,000 budgeted. And if we need to use the reserve, we will, but we really don't have a lot left in there if you think about, the potential for paying people out. So that'll go down. You'll see an adjustment for that. And then the capital, we had the capital and then we used it on this past project. So we don't have a capital reserve right now. And that was one of the things that we were going to reestablish, another capital reserve for the future, but we ended up pulling that off the ballot because our ballot was just too cluttered and busy, too much going on. And since right now we really don't have the funding to cover it, we pulled that off. So the capital reserve is empty and closed. The repair reserve, we started that with $750,000 and we were able to do some of the necessary projects this year. So over in that last column, you can kind of see what we've done so far. We've spent a little bit more than $90,000, and that was, we've done the public hearings, and that was for the 2 tank removals that we already did, the concession stand repairs that started, and the scoreboard repairs, and then some of the other work that's approved that we will take out of this reserve. And they're kind of in the works are the water treatment, the Center Street roof, which I don't know if you can hear, but they are working actively on that right now. The building is shaking, it's scaring me. And the parking lot, I just got a call this afternoon. He's gonna come tomorrow to box out the Ivy Court side of the parking lot. And then so that way they're prepared, and when they can get in here, they're gonna start the new egress and paving. And they may have to do it in stages. He's trying to get us in as he can. So they're doing work, they don't have something going on tomorrow. So they're gonna start doing what they can do tomorrow and then come back to it. And let's see, and then we have some other parking lot repairs and tank removals that they're in the capital project, on the ballot now. So, and we'll request 200,000, but I'm going to wait to see if it passes. If it does, then you'll see a request for $200,000 to be liquidated from that reserve so that we can pay the local portion of the capital. So that's kind of where we are with all our reserves right now. So you can see that they're actually pretty active. They're not like, you know, a lot of other schools you see they have reserves and they put money in there and they keep putting money in and never touch them. I mean, we do have a plan for it. And so we're using them, I think, how they're meant to be used, but they will be adjusted and you'll see that on the next meeting. So were there any questions about those? Okay. I managed to have lost my agenda and I haven't even moved out of my seat. Okay. Oh, so this was actually Colleen's idea and it's a really good one. The next thing on the agenda, the budget proposition, the budget and proposition for doing audio presentations in the future. Colleen's giving me a look. You remember this? And this came.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
Okay, because I'm sitting at my table with my husband and he said, do you really need to do this stuff? And so he's ready to vote no. And I said, yeah, we do. We really do need to do this. But I think there's not an understanding when people either just read it on paper. Some of the stuff that I put on there, you know, I have a hard time understanding when I look back at it. But, you know, so it's not information that people who don't work with it every day are going to pick up and know. And plus the people who don't take the time, like my family, you know, if they don't take the time to go to the meetings or, you know, really read up on things before they make, you know, a decision on how they want to vote. So Colleen said you should do those little snippets with a question that says, okay, why are you doing this capital project, you know, if you don't have any money? And, you know, we have a good answer for it, but people don't know that if they don't really hear it. You know, they're not going to sit down and read through all the information on the website, which there's a lot. And we have done meetings, but you can see all the participation that we have at this meeting. So we were just thinking that next year, maybe for the budget and the propositions, that maybe we just do like a question and answer kind of little snippet on the website for that. So anyway, I know what your thoughts were on that.
Frequently asked questions are a good idea.
Yeah, I think anytime that we can, you know, give information that people are looking for to them is good.
So if they can click on an audio rather than reading through all that piles, you know, all the piles of information, that might just make it easier. And then we can direct them to a document if they want to know more. But
You know, Rotary had suggested something similar because they thought it was great that we could take that PowerPoint, but also have it narrated. You know, they just thought that it made much more sense with someone explaining it. So yeah, I think it's a great idea.
all right, thanks, Colleen. So we'll work on that for next year. A little bit late this year, but maybe it's not too late this year because now we can take ballots, you know, till the end of time.
Don't say that.
Yeah.
And the band came in and the rate was very good. It was 1.23. So what Ben did is he gave me a number for the budget, and then he said we can adjust the principal payment, so we're paying a higher principal payment and still, you know, stay within the budgeted amount because the interest will cost us less. So we'll pay it off, you know, we'll pay off more faster. But he did say that if we, you know, run into some cash flow issues or something like that, that we could reduce that principal payment if we needed to. So that kind of gives us a little bit of wiggle room there because of the low interest rate. But it was very favorable.
Was it callable, Lisa?
No, but it's another
Yeah, so it's annual.
band.
Yep.
So it's, yeah. But no, I don't think it's callable. That's a pretty good rate though.
Rates are dirt cheap.
Yeah, and we, you know, we did budget. We always budget, you know, more than we think it might be just because we don't know what it's going to come in at. So, so you have that information. The next thing is our energy bid runs out in December, and the rates right now are slightly lower than, and I sent that to you, right? In your, yes. They're slightly lower right now than what, or if we sign on starting December, than what we're paying right now. So right now we're paying 0.03986, and the rates are 0.03641. So I can also ask another company to bid this out. So either way, they should go down a little bit. I mean, it's pretty close to what we're paying now, but they should go down for the energy, electricity. And our gas is bid through BOCES. So this is just our electricity bid. Okay, so I'll look into that and then probably sign a 1 or 2 year agreement. Does anybody know a lot about the energy costs, like what they're doing or what they look like for the future? Have you heard anything about that? And I'll also check with Dave Lembo and our energy program and see what they know about it. But
Well, energy is, it's actually quite tight, although the fact that a lot of people aren't working has taken a lot of stress off the grid. But the reality of it is we're tight on all forms of energy in upstate New York for the most part. So we currently aren't. You know, there was interruptible service on the gas side, but the electric side's been tight as well. And projects that have required high electric use have been scrutinized by the utility in different places. So what that means now is it's taking some of the stress off, but I think more on the broader scale, I wouldn't hesitate to lock it in myself if it's down right now. I think it's a great time to lock it in myself.
yeah, I mean,
I agree.
Okay. Okay. I'll get back to him then. The last thing I have on there is the contingent budget, and I sent you some of the information. Honestly, this is something that we have to have a plan for every year, but we don't really plan for it every year because our budget generally passes. You know, we're not usually worried about that. I'm very worried about our budget passing this year. So I think this is going to come into play for a lot of school districts. So I sent you the legal guidelines. The guidelines have changed over the years. There used to be, you know, certain things you absolutely couldn't purchase, or, you know, raises that you couldn't pay. The reality is most people are not taking a raise this year, so that doesn't come into play. There'll be, you know, maybe a couple that we might have to say, hey, you can't have a raise. But the real criteria at this point, since the tax cap, is that you can't increase, your taxes can't be higher than they were the year before. So there would have to be a 0% tax increase. And then it's really up to the board to decide what is a necessary expenditure and what isn't. So there's a lot more wiggle room there. On our property tax report card, which you all got, or the school district budget notice, that you should have all received in the mail, you'll see that there's always a comparison. So for our contingent budget, we said we would eliminate the extracurricular clubs and the modified and the JV sports. Taking all that out with the transportation that goes along with it, we were still short a little bit by about $67,000. So I just said, okay, we're going to use $67,000 more fund balance. But what would really happen is if our budget does go down, then really we should all meet and get together and decide how we're going to come up with that $492,000, because that's what the tax increase is. So we would have to figure out what we're doing about that $492,000 that we wouldn't be getting. So it's either, you know, finding more revenues or cutting expenditures again. So I think we really have to wait until June 16th and see what happens there. But you know, maybe look through that and just have some ideas in the back of your mind how you want to handle that if it does go down, which is a possibility.
Lisa, most school districts, at least the ones in this area, are certainly concerned just as you are. There's just so much uncertainty, and the fact that we're all apart from one another, you don't really get a good handle on the community. You know, even the presentations that I've made have all been very, very positive. But then again, you don't know what that translates to. You don't know if those are the folks who were receiving absentee ballots. You know, there's just a lot of questions that are unanswered in this format. So it is a little unnerving for sure.
Yeah.
Are we not even looking at the ballots until next week? Or can we
Yes.
start counting?
We are not looking at them until 5:01 p.m. on June 17th.
16.
Okay.
16th, right?
16th.
16th, yeah.
Yep, sorry.
I think we're not even allowed to open them.
Okay,
No.
and have we put out the notice for the special meeting?
No, not yet. No, what we can do and have been doing, we have been, you know, removing the outer envelope because we're allowed to do that. But all the other envelope, you know, all the other ballots are sealed and will remain sealed until we're allowed to open them. We received quite a few without the signature on them, which is unfortunate because we can't count them. So that's a little unfortunate. And the ones that we do know of, we cannot reach out to those people and say, can you please come and sign your thing? We're not allowed to do that. So,
Darn, I was just going to ask that.
yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how that goes, but I don't have anything else on this agenda. I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to discuss.
Tom, did you find out about whether or not we have to have a physical box after today?
We do not, absolutely. As of 5 p.m., it's done, it's out.
Okay, so it's mail-in only after today.
This has been it's almost been funny to watch because, you know, you've seen, you know, what ASBO has put out there, and then you see what the different attorneys have put out there. You know, there's a couple of schools who are doing exactly what Hogan and Sarzinski have advised us to do, and that is to accept anything after this point, as well as give out any additional absentee ballots. We should give them out. You have other school districts in the region who, you know, work with Gervin and Ferlazzo or Ferrari, who have been advised not to do that because that extends the vote. So we have been advised by BOCES to do whatever your attorneys have advised you to do. It is really just unbelievable. Yep. So, you know, even along those lines, I heard today that that, you know, now totally different, change of channels on you, but in terms of graduation, we're limited to 150. I heard today that in the very near future, we might see that the governor changes that and says it's unlimited. I guess he's being put on a lot of pressure. So are we, by the way. We've been told that we're cruel because we're only allowing two guests per graduate. So now you can't win.
Hey, let me jump back to the budget. The website still needs to be updated. The band at the top has the wrong date and the budget page has the wrong date.
Yeah, I shared that with Reggie. I think Reggie was trying to get to that before she goes.
Yeah, she did fix the calendar.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So, you know, what do you think on like the 23rd, he'll change his mind about how many people can go to graduation?
You know, probably. Anyway, we'll see.
Okay. Do we have anything else?
Bonnie or Colleen, is it possible you could just go and change the 9 to the 16? On the banner.
I'm doing that right now, but what's, the wording though, Tom, says, please click here to see, but that's just the budget info. Okay, so the budget vote isn't on the 16th though, it's just being canvassed on the 16th.
Well, it wasn't on the 9th either. It was being canvassed on the 9th.
Right, but the wording, I'm just saying, thinking, what do you want the wording to say? The budget,
We're under no obligation to advertise any further. I'm wondering if we just take June 9, 2020 out of there.
yeah, I agree.
The budget vote, yeah.
So it can just say, please click here to see budget information, period.
I think that's probably the best thing under the circumstances.
Okay.
In case they
Well, then-
change it
And then
again.
on that page, do we have to say New York State mandated vote date Tuesday, June 9th, or does that have to be changed to the 16th on the actual budget information page?
Maybe we could change that
It
too.
is on the calendar.
But on
That's
that
what
budget information page, if we could change that to
June
must be
16th?
received by 5 p.m. on June 16th.
Yep.
Yeah, I think that would, I think right after,
Date.
let's see here. Yeah, right after the date. I think that's great, Bill. That's a good idea.
Should
So
we
what
say
did you want that to say?
Must be received by 5 p.m. on June 16th.
Should we add by mail? Must be.
I was gonna say
received
must be
by mail?
postmarked, right?
No,
No.
it has
No.
nothing to do with the postmark. It just has to be received by mail by 5 p.m. on June 16th.
Guys, can you hear me okay? Am I frozen?
Now
I
we
can hear you.
Oh, okay.
And Jim Odell already stopped in and said, he's planning to go to the post office twice, next week. So at the end of the day, picking up whatever's left, in case he doesn't get it in the morning. So he's all over that.
So Bonnie, are you changing the banner and the
Yeah.
budget information page?
Yep, I'll take
Okay.
care of both of those right now. Yep,
Thank
Okay.
you, Bonnie.
sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
May I ask one other question of the Finance Committee that you may have talked about? I apologize that I came late. It was actually on the U.S. Department of Education webinar that was hosted by the Assistant Secretary for Elementary and Secondary Ed for the U.S. Department of Education, Frank Brogan. Never heard of him before, but anyway. It was about, they had a panel of people talking about different ways that we were, going to come back to school. One of the things that just keeps coming back to me is the cost of coming back to school that are going to be different as we're doing things virtually. And I know I keep asking you guys this, but did you guys already talk about this at all, about costs that we wouldn't normally incur? Like if we do end up sending hotspots to students at home, which other districts have done across the country. And nobody has been able to has answered me yet on how they're covering that cost. But have you guys talked about that at all at Finance Committee?
Bonnie, I keep saving your email in the one that you sent to Lisa and I, Tom and I, about the costs that you're concerned about. And I've talked a little bit with Lisa about it because we can use title money differently now if we need to, with anything that has to do with coronavirus things. Like it doesn't have to be, they changed the rules. So I was just kind of waiting.
CARES. That's how we get CARES money, right? Is through
No,
Title I?
no.
We don't know
No.
how we get CARES money.
Oh, I was told that we get it through Title I.
I don't
No,
think
no,
so.
the allocation is based on the Title
Or-
I allocation, but that's not how you get it. We don't know how to get it.
Okay, okay.
So I was kind of waiting to see like what plans go in place. And then once we have plans in place, then a budget would probably go along with that. And then we could figure out where we're getting the money from. But that's
Okay.
why I haven't made any decisions on like what Lisa we've been looking to see what's
No,
left
that's
over,
Yeah.
so.
Because I think there's other pieces, other expenses that I'm concerned about, like additional software we're gonna need to buy to support. And additional PD that needs to happen.
Yeah,
And
and
they're
that's all in there as
Okay.
allowable expenses.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. The other thing we've been told is to keep track of everything separately, in separate account codes. So if we're buying something that's related, that it's a cost for this, make sure you note it on there because we need to track it separately. And we're told that we're going to be able to apply to FEMA to get some funding, but you've worked with FEMA before, right? It'll be 5 years from now, we'll be answering questions and they still, you know, you'll still have to really fight for the money, but it's very, very difficult to get FEMA pay, but eventually they will after about 5 years.
So for all of us, there would just be a different process through purchasing to make those notations about, okay, I don't need to
You know
tie
what
the rest of
you
this.
know what I need to do? I need to, on my end, I think I need to make, and somebody suggested this, and it was a really good suggestion, I think, and simple. We'll make our account code, so you know how you use the 2630 220? So what I would do is make a 2630 22 COV. You know, so it would go through that, and then it's easy to track. So anything in that in the COV account code is additional cost because of COVID. So
thank you.
I need to sit down and get those accounts set up. But initially, we're going to have to pay for it, and then try to figure out if we're going to get reimbursed either out of the grant, if we're going to use the grant, or apply to FEMA. We did apply for a grant for the sanitizing machines and got shot down for that because they said, well, you know, federal and state might pay for it. And I said, well, but we have to clean now, not 5 years from now. So,
right. Well, and the reason I'm even bringing it up is because it seems like almost daily something else comes up that under normal, or what used to be normal circumstances, I would have said, sorry, we don't have the money for that. But now I'm thinking, but wait, this request wouldn't be coming if it weren't for COVID. And so so I feel stuck. Like we have teachers asking for laptops that under typical, I would have said, no, you don't need a laptop. But in some of these cases, they actually do now because of COVID. And like, where am I going to get the money for that? So it just keeps coming up.
Yeah.
Why do they need a laptop?
So like we had a lengthy conversation today about the math teachers. Sometimes, or maybe they need a tablet. They just need different technology than they have because they might be using a Chromebook, but the Chromebook just isn't meeting their needs because they need some other tools that aren't supported on that Chromebook. Or in the case of math, they're looking for tablets. And
I was thinking of laptop versus desktop.
Oh, like if I were to send district desktops to people's houses, that means they've got to figure out to plug desktops that we buy don't typically come with Wi-Fi. So they've got to figure out a way to plug it in. And so the desktops we buy don't, and it's much more complicated with a desktop. Is that
everybody's got a router, just run a cable to it and plug it in.
Does everybody have a router? And is the router like in my house, the router's in my basement? But I'm just saying it's more complicated.
Yeah.
In my house is wired. It's easy in my house, but that's not true of everybody. So a laptop's just.
I mean, we're trying to spend our way out of a difficulty, you know.
Well, that's right. No, I get it. That's my point. I'm not saying I'm gonna start saying yes to these things, but each time it makes me think, but wait a minute. So yeah, I agree, Bill. It's not like we're gonna spend, but it's definitely, there are different issues coming up because of this that I just think we need to think differently, but before we just right away say no. So that's all.
Well, maybe that's one of the questions that you talk about in your committees. Maybe there are actual teachers that could hook up their desktops and it would be way better than their Chromebook and would cost less money than us buying them a different device.
Right.
Maybe, you know, like I guess that I get what you're saying because I don't have a wired house, so I would have to actually set up a desk or go buy something different like another extension, but that wouldn't be too hard and it would be cheaper than buying another laptop.
Right, perfect example. Chris Kastek did do that. He took his work desktop home, but he needed a super long cable to run. And so we had Dave Lembo make a super long cable for him. But that was one you know, like if it's going to be it's those kind of things. So absolutely, there's just, yeah. Just wondering, like, do we have a place to go, like funding, like Lisa explained it. She gave a good answer. That's what I was looking for, was is there like emergency funding or not emergency funding? So
there's talk about it now, but no guarantee. So yeah, I mean, I think we still want to be careful.
You know,
of course.
I wish.
I'm more concerned about the students. Like, every student still deserves a free education, but it's not free to provide them an education if they can't get online at home. And so I was thinking more about the students actually in these hot spots, but providing them at home.
I
So,
wish this funding had trickled down to school districts because all the state agencies are tracking every penny they're spending with the expectation they're going to get reimbursed.
well, and we're more at the point where we're not spending it yet because I just don't know. And yet, so this is part of our subcommittee conversation that we'll be having on the digital equity side. Anyway.
Okay. All right, so I guess then I'll see everyone tomorrow and next week.
Yeah, we got to set a time for next week, Tom.
I've got a
That's-
conflict, Bill. You did see that, so
For tomorrow.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, same time. So I hesitate to commit to both at the same time.
Are
You
you
know,
talking
it's-
about board meeting tomorrow or finance committee tomorrow?
Board
The board meeting.
Okay.
and next week.
So you haven't
let's-
set the meeting up for next week yet, right?
Well, no, we hadn't agreed upon a time. So,
Oh, okay.
Oh, I didn't know about it till we just talked about it.
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Do we want to do an early morning Wednesday meeting?
sure.
That's
I
what
mean,
I was
whatever
thinking.
works for you guys.
That's what I was thinking, because we just need to accept the canvas of the vote and you know, the things that Lisa just mentioned.
Will
Yeah,
that give you enough time to count the ballots?
Well, I hope we're not going to be up all night long counting the ballots.
I only set up the WebEx for 5 hours.
I actually was going to ask you that, Bonnie, because if we're supposed to be recording it, then how long can we record it for? Because
I set
Reggie,
it.
you better set it for longer because Reggie was thinking that it was going to take quite a while.
Okay. I
Like
can
at
make it
least
longer.
until 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, she thought.
Well, yeah,
that-
but she can't start counting till 5, right?
Right.
Yeah, so
I
I
don't-
set
I
it
don't
for
think
5
it'll take-
hours, I think.
Yeah, I don't think it'd take long to count those 75 votes.
I think they have more than that already, right?
Okay.
I think there's about 800, right?
Yeah, right now there's around
All
800.
kidding aside, there's going to be some smaller school districts with some pretty low vote totals, I bet.
Oh, absolutely.
That's why there's some nerves out there,
Yeah.
Yep.
because the no's are sometimes a static number.
Did by any chance any of you see Ray Canner's letter to the editor in the paper? And did any of you want to respond to it? No?
Was it about our school?
Well, it was actually about Charlotte Valley, but it was the kind of the point that Lisa was worried about that people don't understand.
Yeah.
I think he's on the Charlotte Valley side. Did you see it, Bill?
I did, and I, you know, I threw my hands up because it was just stupidity, you know.
I mean, he's basically saying, why are budgets going up if school's not in session?
Yeah,
Well, that's a concern. If people think we're not in session and we're not still paying people, then that's a concern. I understand what Lisa, you know, I feel like somebody should write back to him, but it can't be me. But to say,
and the other side of that is, it's next year's budget. You know, we're expecting to be in session next year, so.
but we are still in session. We are still in session regardless. We're
I
still
know.
paying people. It's the biggest part of the budget. Yeah, I was just so frustrated. I threw my hands up too, and I was so frustrated.
I had to send a letter to a parent who said, you know, who pays and said, why am I paying if schools, you know, if school's not in session? And then I said the same thing. I wrote back to him and I said, school is in session. Are your children still receiving instruction? Because I think they are. And if they're not, please let us know because
Yeah.
they should be. And
Yeah,
I said, the building is closed, but school isn't closed.
yeah.
So we got to check quickly after that. I mean, he was good about it.
That's the, here on campus, they're talking about a return to work plan. And somebody said, whoa, 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 we've all been working. It's a return to campus plan. Oh, yeah. So they changed their wording.
Mm-hmm.
True. It's true.
Yeah.
Well, listen, look, I've said it before, you know, when I reach out to the other districts, just to make sure that we did, you know, everything that we could do. You know, I was very pleased to learn that, honestly, even in this crazy environment, we ended up actually doing more than some. I was looking to our more experienced superintendents to say, no, this is always a good thing. And so, look, it's at this point, for the most part, it's out of our hands. And we've always had a very supportive community, and we just got to hope that they continue to do that. So
do you guys want me to create you a webinar for Wednesday, June 17th at 8 in the morning or 8:30 in the morning for the finance committee to?
8:15, what do you think?
What?
Not finance.
It would be
just
the full
board.
board, wouldn't it?
Oh,
It's
the
a
board,
board
I'm
meeting.
sorry.
Yeah,
So 8 or 8:30, what time?
8:15.
8:15?
Yep.
Okay.
And is Reggie gonna update the calendar?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
I was just gonna do my webinar part.
Yeah, no, I was just checking, making sure we
Yeah.
get everything checked off because it's all kind
Yeah.
of last minute. If she needs help, just let us know.
Sounds great.
I'll let the rest of the board know.
Okay.
Yeah, they'll get my invitation before you tell them. I can wait till tomorrow.
Give me a couple minutes.
Don't worry. I can do it tomorrow.
Okay. All right, well, thank you, everybody.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Good meeting, Lisa.
Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
gonna stop recording now, right?
All right, bye now.
Bye.